Hi folks, it's Mark here from Newbie Prepping. So, I thought I'd do this video and it'd be a three-parter, and the reason being there's three distinct areas that I want to cover, so I want to give myself a bit of breathing space or a bit of room on each video. Now, we always say to look out for signs of if you should bug out, or signs for stuff to plan for. So something's come quite recently, which is in the public eye at the moment, and quite a lot of people are talking about it. And so the warning signs are there, and some of the things what I've heard is quite alarming, really, of what some of the plans for the future are. So let's start off. So warning sign number one, I think it was last week. Obviously this video takes a few days to be edited and uploaded, but the Doomday Clock, we lost another 20 seconds. Now, the Doomday Clock is meant to gain time, lose time, depending on what's going on in the world. But to lose 20 seconds is quite alarming, really. Especially if you look at what's going on in the world. This is the closest we are to midnight. Then, you know, we're even closer to midnight, should I say, than what we was during the Cold War at the height of, you know, a nuclear war. So it is quite alarming to lose 20 seconds. Now, is that a signal to tell people, like a signal for the elites to get ready to get into their underground because we're losing time for some reason? I don't know, but it is alarming for Joe Public, and not many people have been talking about it. But the links, as always, of everything what we're going to be discussing are down below, so you can check everything out yourself. So we're always trying to be factual in what we try and talk about. So this will be a hot topic, and I don't want to get into any of the conspiracies of the next subject. But is it linked to the Doomday Clock? I don't know. And it is the WEF. Now, I'm always going to call it the WEF because that's the initials, and they go by it themselves. And that's the World Economic Forum. Now, everyone's going to have their own opinions, and if you want to find my opinions on the group, leave a comment down below. Give us a thumbs up if you have suspicions about it, or if you like this video, especially if you like this video, and hit that bell button for notifications. Now, the WEF is a group of elite people who have got together mainly by one person. His picture should be just here, and they've or they see a view of the future, and they talk about the pandemic, what we're going through now, and they're saying it's a chance of the big reset, which will be covered in another video in some of the stuff what they're talking about. But they're also talking about the next big virus, big attack, and obviously they're talking about a cyber attack, and they're saying if it happens, like it happens during winter, obviously their fears and worries. Now, let's be prepared for something like that. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but as a prepper, indicators for me are, right, if they're thinking of a cyber attack, and let's think in the mid of winter, if it happens. Right, so if a cyber attack and it hits the computers all over the world, so every single computer is hit by this virus all at the same time, okay, the power stations will go down because it's all run by computers. The whole world is run by computers. Communications will go down, so you won't get to see my lovely face when you log onto your computer on other videos. But Rick's, sorry, I'm not excluding Rick, because YouTube be down, the entire internet be down, your communications, so your mobile phones, TVs probably will be down, because, no, they will be down, because if there's no power, you're not going to have power to your house. Obviously the power, the government should be looking at starting it all back up. But let's go on the assumption that they don't start it out for a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month. We don't have power started back up. If there's no power, no communications, nothing for 2-3 days to a week, which would be a minor disturbance, let's say, in our day-to-day life. The only source of news we've got is the newspapers. If they've got backup generators to carry on printing. Now, most big companies do have backup generators which they will feed by petrol, diesel or whatever. So your hospitals will still be running. But they won't be able to get to your medical files because the servers are not always on site. So they're off site, so if they're not up and running, because they could be a third party looking after your servers, the servers. So if they're not up and running, they may have problems getting to accessing your files. But you still be able to get treated. Other places, supermarkets, they would also be up and running. But probably what won't be up and running are local banks. You know, because local banks won't have, probably won't have backup generators. The people who will have communications, I betcha, without any problem, would be the military. Quite possibly the police communications will still be up and running. Because generally they would need to, and quite a lot of their stuff is on their radios. Obviously quite a lot of the larger police stations would have backup generators, especially the new ones, because obviously they would hopefully see the threat of a blackout and be prepared for it. So for yourself, you probably won't be working, but with all the lockdowns what we have at the moment, some of you are working, some of you ain't. But if you work from home, unless you've got a backup generator what you can turn back on and get connected, or try and get connected, or charge up your bits and pieces, you probably won't be working. Some, I would say, quite a lot of schools would have backup generators, but don't know, not 100% sure. So short term, you got to think of having food in your house. Now, be careful, because I know some people will have open fires, and it'd be, well, just boil a kettle on the open fire, or, you know, please be careful, you know. And quite a lot of kettles are plastic. You know, it's like one of those ditty moments. Got a kettle, let's boil some water on the fire. Believe me, there will be people out there who would do such things. You know, stress of what's happening would lead you to make comparable decisions. Now, regarding some of the things that I was saying, there's another YouTuber, excellent YouTuber for preppers, and it's the Ice Age Farmer. He talks about the WEF a lot more, so the link should be just here, or especially down below, to go and see what his take is on the WEF. Short term, the society should be able to cope with a short term blackout, apart from all the gangs that's out there who will take it as an opportunity to start robbing places for their own gains. So your security would need to be there. And remember, unless you've got a landline phone, you won't be able to make any 999 calls. Or if you're in overseas or in America, it's like 911. So please bear in mind, and because for ourselves, we don't really have our landline phone plugged in. Mainly because you just get nuisance phone calls. It's like, oh, we're from such and such insurance, and we're going to be talking about your life insurance, or we heard that you had an accident in the last 2 years. Okay, well, I didn't know I had an accident in 2 years. But if you've got the landline phone, your phones generally run off a different power supply, so the phones should still work as long as you're one plugged in. A cyber attack to everything all the way around the world, it's not going to be Joe Blogs sitting at home with the master reset, famous words, to send out a virus to every single computer or to hack into every single system. It would be I'm going to use these words loosely, a organisation or a group, a terrorist group or whatever, a country who would have a whole floor of people on computers with the virus trying to get into, finding backdoors into computer systems. Now, I know the WEF was saying that we're more susceptible for hacks now because people are working from home, and they're leaving their passwords lying around, which for me doesn't really make sense for that, because who's going to see your password lying around? But okay, and if you was at work, especially quite a lot of these people who work from home would have their own work laptops to work from home. So those laptops you just plug in and you've always used them. So you wouldn't just have a password lying around. You know, loads of people use silly passwords, but quite a lot of companies have a password generator which they give out to people, and they, you know, get the computer to save it or to remember it. Now, if it was over a short term, you got to make sure you got your food. Make sure you got your, especially if you're going into winter, blankets and some way of keeping warm. Medium term, so if it goes on longer than a week, your basic food, what you would have in your house, would definitely be running out. Yeah, if it goes on for any length of time from a week. Now, if you've been got on the hop and it was the day before you did your shopping, your weekly shopping, then obviously you got to start thinking now of, let's get some extra bits of food in. Now, I'm not saying go out and panic buy, because we're going to run out of toilet rolls or something. Most of you who are watching this have already started on the road of building up your supplies, and which is great. You know, you would have your pastas, rices, so you'd always have a certain amount of food what you're stocking up on. Now, if this happens during the winter, you want to make sure it's a bit more hearty. It's gonna, you've got like extra small little gas bottles for your stoves. If you've got like the camping stoves, the bigger stoves, which holds a bigger gas bottle, why not just go and get an extra gas bottle for the short term? And the medium term, obviously, would be how to. You want, obviously, don't forget, at home you're not going to have your fridge and freezers, so use that food up first. You know, obviously, the more times you open up your fridge or freezer, the quicker the cold will be released and it will warm up. So use your stuff in the freezer first, or your perishables. I know I'm saying the basics, but some people would just overlook this and go straight to the cupboard and start boiling up some pasta, and they'll forget that they've got perishables. As I say, stress, and if it's the first time you're going through something like this, your stress levels would be hitting the roof. You'd be worrying about near enough everything. You just got to remember not to panic, because if you panic, you could make wrong decisions. If you've got a bug out location, bearing in mind we're coming into winter at the moment, and you feel it will be more safer going into a bug out location because you'll be able to cook easier because you can have an open fire. Because if you're living in a block of flats or in a house that's got no open fire, it's going to be harder for you. You're going to be having candles. So make sure you are stocked up on all these essentials. Now, I've got the solar powered chargers. Now, a solar power during the winter is not going to be charging up that great, and even though these are great, make sure they're charged up now. Now, I tested this one out, and I had it fully charged, and as you can see, it's still flashing. This is the low setting, and I've been seeing how long this lasts, and I've been really surprised. Keep it on its low setting. You've not got a great deal of light on low, but it's enough for your eyes to adjust and get to acclimatise to the dark. And you can, I wouldn't say you'll be able to read properly, but you know what's around you, especially inside your house, because the light will reflect off TV screens. You can always get like a a milk bottle, the plastic milk bottles, if you filled that up with water and put this to the side, the water and the plastic bottle will be illuminated a lot more. So add this on low to keep the charge in there as long as possible. Put it to the bottle of water, and that will give you a lot more light. And that's something what most people would just overlook and not think about. So it's not going to cost you much just to be prepared, just in case, and for short, medium term, you're going to be more comfortable having these little tips than not. If it goes on long term, so now for long term, I would say over 2 weeks to a month to 2 months, I can't see the power grid being out longer than a couple of weeks, really, because the government be under so much pressure to get it all fixed. The companies would be under the pressure from the governments, and yes, afterwards there'd probably be an inquiry of why things took so long. And generally, a virus, unless it rewrites coding, or it should be just replace the computer or change the hard drive and reboot your systems. Especially if the hard drive's got the virus and they can't, obviously they need to turn the computer on to find it. So have a backup of all your stuff, because your computer, what you've got, it's got all your memories on there. You would have all your pictures. If you work from home, you have all your documents for your work or your pleasure, or if you're a scout leader, you'd have like programs of what you're going to be planning to do. All that potentially could be lost if there's a virus on there and it can't be corrected with the antiviruses or stopping it. So you could lose a lot of information, especially if it starts, the viruses execute delete or something, and it deletes and wipes out your hard drive. So back up all your stuff onto other portable hard drives. They are quite cheap. You can pick them up for like £20-30 for like a terabyte, 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes. On Amazon's and eBay and stuff like that. Go down the local shops. They probably won't have. Local shops probably won't have backup generators. My local shop, their card machine is very temperamental. If the post office what's connected to it is using the phone, they can't use their card machine. Now, card payments probably won't be going through because obviously the banks are shut down. You won't be able to get cash out of the cash point machine because there's no power to most of these. So short term, medium term, long term, make sure you've got some cash in a safe place. I'm not saying draw out all your money and keep it under your mattress. Don't be silly, but have some in reserve. Something to keep you going if you need to buy stuff. Because if you haven't got cash at the moment and the power goes down, your card probably won't work. especially if if the grid goes down, because all the computer systems are down, and it's obviously a cyber hack. What else? There is so much what would happen if there's no power. There will definitely be civil unrest, most definitely. And as soon as the civil unrest starts, the police will turn around and say that they can't cope. And, civil unrest is running riot. So who will be coming onto the streets. It will be the army will be called in, and there will be curfews. So if you believe that totalitarian state is going to be kicking in, and some people think it already has with all the lockdowns, our soldiers are great lads, but they haven't got patience. Half the police force don't have patience when it's dealing with the public, and they're going to be stressed out with what's going on, because they're going to have families who's going to be potentially under threat. And also the soldiers, they would have their orders, and our lads are trained to carry out their orders without question. If their orders are everyone must be off the streets, that's their orders. They will detain people, arrest people, take them to the police stations or the holding centres or whatever will be set up, and they would go through the due course process of being either fined or I very much doubt they would be put in jails. But jails probably would have backup generators, but getting people in to do court cases, so the legal system, as they will say, kangaroo courts. Obviously, if something's happening, and you won't have a jury, because how are they going to notify everyone for jury service? The post system will generally be to whack, because everything's computerized. So there's a lot of things will be going on, but the government will get the power back up, and things will start getting back to normal. So that's the good point. But it's getting the power back up, getting the computer systems all switched back on. And for those who are constantly, look at me, I've got to make sure I get thumbs up, or I need my likes. Lockdown, what we went through would look like a kindergarten to what a power out would be. If you're in lockdown, you've got your power, you've still got your computers, you've still got the communications with friends, family, and in a blackout, you've got none of that. And again, your stress levels will be hitting the roof, if not going through it. So this is what I thought I would bring to your attention, because we always say that there's warning signs. Oh boy, this is a big warning sign for me. If they're really emphasising on this is what could happen, and the WEF has its own agenda, they want to bring in change to the world for the good of mankind. But it's just a bit suspicious. So a warning sign for me is, well, okay, I'm going to need to make sure I've got extra cash. I'm going to make sure I've got comfy food, because I'm going to be indoors. We've got kids, and generally in my my prep stuff, I've got some chocolate, some crisps, for the kids as a luxury. I'm going to be stocking up a bit more, because we're going to be at home. They're going to be banging their heads against the wall because they're bored. I'm quite lucky. My little girl is quite interested in what I do and with the bushcraft stuff. So I'll be able to still hopefully take her out, but we can go across the fields and get to the forests, and we can go for walks that way. But be surprised that people there'll be curfews where you have to stay in. They're not going to want you on the streets. Traffic lights won't be working, because the power's out. And I know it seems like I'm jumping around. It's just as it comes to my mind of what won't be working. Your street lights won't be working, first of all, so it will be dark out there. If you're scared of the dark, this is going to be your worst nightmare. Now, living in blocks of flats, if you've ever gone through, most of you probably have had some form of power out in blocks of flats. The lift won't work, so you're going to go through going up and down the stairs, and it would have your emergency lighting, but that's on backup batteries. Eventually that will go out too, if it's a long-term power out. So I'll link the video as well of what the WEF said about the cyber attack. It is a bit suspicious of how they're saying things. So again, with the Doomday Clock and what they're saying, it just brings, again, I know I keep repeating myself, but unless I repeat myself, I don't believe it's getting through to some of you, especially some who are a bit more sceptical. He's just talking off he's off his rocker, and some people are thinking, yes, zombie apocalypse. You already got one life, so let's protect that one life. Just got to be careful. It is a dangerous situation to be going through. It's dangerous times. It is very dangerous times. But as preppers, these are the things what as a prepper, this is the sort of thing I'm prepping for. I know Rich is prepping for it, and hopefully all of you are prepared. We have got a Discord channel. If you'd like to join us, I'm sure it's be flying around my head now. Please like and subscribe. Share this video if you feel someone else is interested, because it does. The more likes and the more times it's shared, the more times it's viewed, it means we get out to a wider audience, and hopefully like-minded people will see the videos, the better. Part 2 of this one would be something else what the WEF has spoke about, which has brought out alarm bells, and it's not that it's them, but it's something what the governments around the world are doing. So that one will be the next one, and then the final one, again, it will be what they have said, their vision of the future. So I'll be doing them ones very soon. Hopefully you'll get them. They will be up within a couple of days after this one. And all I can say is be safe, look after your loved ones, find a way of keeping communications open, hand radios, little walkie-talkies if you only live like around a corner or something. I know it'd be harder because of the current lockdowns, but check on mum and dad. At the moment we've got phones. Check on an aunt who is living by herself, and just a simple call saying hello. You alright? Does make a difference. especially if people have not been out. You know, the old chinwag, as we say back in East London, good old chinwag. But yeah, that's about it for this one, really. Be safe, keep your training up, keep prepared, and look out for these warning signs, because they are there if you're looking. And don't just dismiss something thinking it's a conspiracy or it would never happen. That's the biggest one. People, that would never happen. This time last year, who would have thought we would have a year of a pandemic and lockdowns? And if I said that last year, next year we'll be having lockdowns because of a pandemic, you would have thought I was a fruitcake and I would have get my tinfoil hat and you would have been having a good old chuckle. But this year's definitely been an eye-opener for a lot more people, and hopefully we've got a lot more preppers out there who sees, especially with the amount of toilet paper that's been bought. You know, I'm sure that people got their spare rooms full of toilet paper, but be prepared, keep your supplies topped up, and I would say get comfy food, because if it does, whatever happens, it's mainly to keep your head, keep calm, and start play Monopoly, have fun. On that note, I'll speak to you soon, and be safe out there, as they say. Bye.